Ow! Steven, I feel like this theme song is coming along nicely.
It's coming. Malcolm Gladwell said 10,000 hours, and we're inching closer. We're inching closer.
Incremental. So how long would you think that takes? Maybe like 30 seconds. So we've got probably about 2 minutes. 2 minutes of work in.
120 times 10,000, 1.2 million episodes we need to get.
I bet. Okay, awesome. I'm into it. This is episode 8. What episode?
12.
What? 12 episodes? Most podcasts only last 7 episodes. So we are killing the game right now.
We are 2 times better than everybody.
Ow! Yeah.
My name is Stephen Campbell.
And I am Franqi Campbell. We got married over the weekend. I'm kidding. Gross. I'm Franqi French.
And this is the nonprofit. What's that?
I said, Stephen wishes.
Yeah, I do. And that's why I hope 1.2 million episodes and eventually we will be married. We will master this relationship.
I think after 1.2 million episodes, it's like a common law marriage. It's just already, I get half your shit, I feel like.
But yeah, so this nonprofits podcast, we talk with incredible nonprofits that are making an impact in their community, locally, nationally. Today we got Avenues for Justice on again.
Love those guys.
Love them. And we're going to talk about incarceration, recidivism, and the environment that creates the problems that exist around it.
True.
And before we do that, Franqi, what's going on with you?
Well, you mean with my incarceration rates?
No. I mean, just in general. Let's just talk life right off top.
Oh, talk life. Okay, I'm like, wow, that's deep. We're gonna go into my record. Okay, ooh. No, JK. So what's going on? I have a lot going on, Stephen. I have a major audition that I need to really study for. I have I have 2 writing packets I need to submit. One is due tomorrow. I have not started it, but I have a good idea of what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to write it and bang out it's only 1 sketch. So I'm going to bang that out tonight. And and then I'm going to live my life and probably cry tomorrow after I get all of my emotions out from getting everything done. Oh, and I'm writing a book.
What is the sketch about?
My sketch is going to be about, it's going to be Candace Owens. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you in just a second. It's kind of funny. My sister actually, who is watching us, I forget what we were talking about, but the idea sparked from a conversation she and I were having. So it's going to be Ben Carson, Stacey Dash, Ice Cube, Lil Wayne, Candace Owens, Isaiah Washington, Diamond and Silk, Dennis Rodman, the one black guy from the Capitol insurrection, and Terry Crews. And they're going to be putting together a heist to try to steal a black card. Which I think is hilarious.
Where would a black card be housed?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's the problem. Like how gold is in the U.S. is where gold is in Fort Knox. We said at the same time, you're not smarter than me. Yes, but so I'm trying to think, where would the black card be? Maybe like in the basement. Maybe it'll be like a national treasure situation. Oh, my sister just said in Wakanda. That's what she calls her vagina, by the way. But anyway, I call it, well, kinda.
I had
like a national treasure situation, and it's in the basement of the African American History Museum. That could be like,
oh yeah, that would work.
They have to follow like clues of stuff that's in there to like get to it. That's kind of funny, actually.
I wrote a sketch early COVID where
about COVID.
What
about COVID?
Yeah, well, I had these guys reach out, and they're like a music label that was putting on this like streaming show, and they're like, "Yo, can you put some sketches together for us?" Give us, 10 ideas. And I was like, cool. And what I didn't realize was they were trying to distract from COVID. But at that point in time, my mind was so wrapped around COVID that I couldn't not write about it. But the only one that I wrote that I remember that I enjoy still is Airbud 13, Take It to the Mat. And so the US wrestling team is preparing for the Olympics, and the whole team gets COVID. So they have to put Airbud in to wrestle. And so then all of the different wrestling teams get COVID. So they all have to put in their own dogs. And then it just becomes dog fight.
Dog fight. Does Michael Vick make an appearance? That's all I'm wondering.
I don't know. I feel like it was a really good idea. They hated it. They absolutely hated it.
Because I feel like Mike Vick could have come in at the end and been like, has this ever happened to you? Have you just been minding your business?
Or like a Smokey the Bear type situation, like only you can prevent dog fighting.
Yeah, basically.
So
that's actually pretty funny though.
So my grandma passed away, and I just got back home yesterday from doing funeral stuff. Look
at Steven trying to go for the sympathy likes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you stop watching this, you hate my grandma. And one thing that, there's always funny in tragedy, right? And I was looking at mortuaries, and people be fucking around on Yelp heavily for mortuaries. There's so many Yelp reviews for mortuaries, and they're all 1-star reviews. It's duh, of course.
I had a terrible experience. I did not have not one joke. It wasn't fun. It was so boring. And plus, there was a dead person.
Right. If the body's not decaying and nobody had sex with it, 5 stars. Five.
The body's not going to be decaying. Someone probably had sex with it. I mean, okay. If you're working in a mortuary, that's kind of your demo.
3 stars. Three
stars.
There was just all these people just giving their own advice on how people should be taking care of dead bodies. And it's just,
how do they know?
It's the same as it, I just don't think that the same platform that I use to find Thai food should be what I use to find how to take care of my grandma's dead body.
100%. I agree. My sister also agrees. She also said she's very sorry for your loss. So people listening, my sister's in the green room of the show, and she's very vocal, or you may know her as a bitch. So she's constantly commenting, and I have to say her comments or she'll get very upset. So forgive me if I go, my sister said, that's where that's coming from. But I got in a Facebook argument, Stephen, you'll find this interesting, about circumcising children or your sons when they're born.
Sure.
And because someone posted, this is the most ridiculous comparison I've ever heard in my life. Someone said, it's kind of weird how people mutilate their sons for their how people mutilate their sons based on their sexual preferences. It would be like if you were a dad and you were like, I don't like long labias, and so you mutilated your baby dog. I'm like, no, okay. Yes, it was a white woman that said this. So I was like, okay, not at all the same thing. And I think it's just weird how in America, and I think maybe you'll agree with this, we leave no room for education or ignorance or learning or growth. We leave no room for that. It's like, if you don't know this new thing, things are this way now. If you don't know that and you say or do the wrong thing, you are a piece of shit and we're canceling. That's not real life. And so I got not in the argument, but I was just like, had I had a son 15 years ago when I had my daughter, 100% would have circumcised him. 100%, without question, without hesitation, without thought, because that's all I ever knew. You know what I mean? And I didn't know that it was a conversation you should have or a question you should ask or pose or what the pros and cons are. I didn't even think about that. It was just all my life. You have a baby, it's a boy. You take
Sure.
You circumcise him, period, end of the story. And you got to make sure you keep it clean so it doesn't get infected, as he grows up. no judgment to, no judgment to uncut men, my sister said. But also I'm saying, but my point is just that, things change and they ebb and they flow. And I don't think, what do you think about that? Just not about necessarily the topic, but how people were so quick to cancel or tell people they're wrong because they don't know.
Sure. And that's one thing that I always say is I know that I'm liberal because of how quickly I hate somebody for not knowing something I didn't know yesterday.
That's right? Really good. That's good. Yeah.
And I catch myself doing this shit. And I know that the time where I really caught myself was I had watched Blackfish, which is this whole documentary about Shamu and SeaWorld and the treatment of orca whales in captivity. And I grew up going to SeaWorld. I lived nearby, and I watched these animals in captivity as a child, and I loved it. I had great memories from it. But then as soon as I saw this thing, anybody I saw bringing their kid to SeaWorld, I was like, that piece of
trash. You're trash.
I can't even believe that you didn't watch the same documentary I just saw last night. How dare you? And it is this thing of I catch myself doing it all the time. One of the things that I find is I am prejudiced of people based on how prejudiced I think they are.
Hold on, say it again. Your degree of prejudice against the person.
No. I am prejudiced of people based on how prejudiced I think they are as soon as I see them. If I hear,
you're like the inception of prejudice.
Well, what's wild is that if I hear a finance bro in boat shoes and a North Face vest say something that's socially conscious, I act like a Jim Crow white watching a Negro do math. I was I didn't even think that y'all could do that. I was, just horribly
this
prejudiced.
Motherfucker say a Jim Crow white watching a Negro do math? Lord. The one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. I felt like a Negro spiritual needed to happen just to wash that out.
But I've the amount of prejudice I just have in my brain as soon as I see a type of person based on how prejudiced I think that they are.
Right.
And it's just this thing that I'm wrestling with. I'm just I will, there's easy ones, right? If somebody has a Confederate jacket, a Confederate flag on their jacket.
Yes, I'm already done with you.
But how would your world be rocked if they had just the most progressive views ever? They're just I just love this pattern. I don't maybe that's a bad example.
No, I get it. I think we all have prejudices. I don't, I don't think you can exist in the world and not, right? If I see a bitch with trash shoes, I'm like, ew, yuck. But, or if I see a girl with my sister just told me that I'm trash. Okay. You're saying that girl is trash. Right. Okay. She agrees with me. Never mind. We're back on the same page. Or if I see here's one thing that I really judge. If I see a Black girl with all white girlfriends and her hair is terrible, I am judging. So where's your Black mom? Where's your girlfriend to say, okay, girl, okay, look, you need some moisture. As a Black woman, you have to have Black girlfriends. You have to. If you don't, you have to. You can't go through your life. And so when I see a Black woman with no Black female associates,
what is the prejudice that comes out that they just that where they grew up, or what is your?
I don't even care where they grew up. I grew up in a predominantly white area, but I can just look at you and tell you are garbage. Your whole, the way you process shit. My sister disagrees. Do you want to come on camera? You want to talk about it? No? Okay. Okay. So here's what I mean. They don't have enough care. They don't know themselves enough to know how to properly take care of themselves. So they can't know me enough to speak out against injustice just kind of generally, which could be 100% wrong. But I'm prejudging in that way. I'm making that assumption. Like I said, it's a prejudice. Don't look at me like that. You said Negro. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I did say that. I think that if anybody believes that they don't have any prejudices, they should just look to clowns. You know, like
First of all, clowns are horrifying.
Sure, right. One. Clowns are horrifying. There's John Wayne Gacy. There's all sorts of different clowns that have given.
Pennywise.
Pennywise is another great example. There was that dude that dressed up like the Joker, mowed down a whole movie theater. But when
there were just general clowns jumping out at people one summer. You don't remember that?
Oh, that is true. But
yeah,
if
insane clown posse. Okay, go ahead.
If you break it down, a clown is just out there to make people happy, but they just have real bad press.
They're just out there to live in your nightmares. That's all clowns do.
You know, I was trying to write this joke about like clowns getting treated like a very like. I was trying to write about clown
internment camps. It was a hilarious joke. You really should bring it back.
Right. But then I wrote for like an hour on clown internment camps. I looked like, motherfucker, this is just a circus. Right? Like, you put an elephant in this internment camp. That's a fun ass internment camp.
And this is the last episode of Nonprofits, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Steven hates the blacks and now the Jews, and now we'll add clowns to that pile. This is going to be very uncomfortable. I'll be back with a new host, probably my sister.
And then I'll just be in the chat bar and I'll just type some things.
Damn it! Ray didn't say Negroes enough. So I'm excited to have Avenues for Justice on. I don't know if you know this about me, Stephen, but I did a short stint in the Bing. You may not know this, I don't think.
What is the Bing?
It's the big house, man. It's jail, prison, but it was really just county jail. I was there for a week. But the story behind it is super fucked up. So my best friend at the time shows up at my house. Well, yeah, she showed up at my house. I was crashing with the boyfriend. She shows up at our house and I don't even notice that she's covered in blood from like the neck down. Okay. I literally didn't notice it was dark when she got there. So I'm like, yeah, take a shower, whatever, you can sleep in the guest room, blah, 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 right? Next day, she's got a car, money, like whatever. Still don't know. I don't know anything, right? I just know she's got this car. She's got money. And she's like letting me use the car. We were like 17, 18, you know what I mean? Young. So I take the car to 7-Eleven and a cop pulls up behind me. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And long story short, he's like, this car is stolen. And I'm like, it is, like, for real? And he's like, what's your name? I tell him my name. And he doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm not going to say her name, but he thinks I'm my friend. So I get arrested and I go to jail. And she ultimately turned herself in 7 days later. What a bitch. But the story behind it is she stabbed her mom like 7-8 times and tried to kill her mom. And stole her mom's car and money and like ATM cards and checks and all this other crap.
And then she just showed up.
And she just showed up.
Didn't tell you.
Didn't tell me shit. Told me nothing. But yeah. So later I found out, she's like, yo, when I came to your house, I was covered in blood. I thought you knew. No, bitch, I didn't know. I'm not going to let someone dripping in blood come in my house. Why would I do that? Am I stupid? Yeah. So that was my, stint in prison. And I did have someone try to bully me and take my soup.
What kind of soup?
It was some gross, like, I don't know. It was like a broth and it had rice in it. Some of the rice were moving. Like, I'm pretty sure those were maggots. No, it was not goulash. It was not right. It wasn't good.
When I was in jail, I just got a cheese sandwich. It was just a slice of cheese with 2 pieces of white bread, and that's all I remember.
I'm describing your dating profile, but whatever. Go ahead.
No. That was it. I went to jail in a predominantly Native American area, and
you on a res?
What's that? Well, I went to school in Northern Arizona University, which is in Flagstaff, and Flagstaff's very close to the res.
Okay.
But it was like I didn't realize how many people's names were actually like cool ass like
Littlefoot, Black Lighting, yeah.
like Big Bear and shit like that. I was like, what?
Cool.
You actually got those names? That's cool.
It'd be more commonplace and so many more Indians if white people didn't come and kill them. But whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, we talked.
Why? Don't be awkward. Why you making me feel weird? Don't be awkward.
No, not at all.
Oh, Stephen, what did you get arrested for?
It was a
Public urination.
No, I just
Grand
kept
Theft
having.
Auto.
I just had a bunch of parties, and eventually the police got upset with the fact because I would always have the parties, and then when the cops came, I would leave with everybody, and then we would just leave the house vacant, and then the cops would just hang out at our house, and I would just spend the night somewhere else. And
That's hilarious.
I would do it in like all the time, and then eventually they found out who it was because
Someone snitched.
his last name was Campbell, my last name was Campbell. And then so like one time I saw him and I was like, Officer Campbell, I'm Stephen Campbell. And then
Are you serious? That's how you got caught? You turned yourself in accidentally?
Well, but then when he came, he knew that Stephen Campbell, whatever, he put some dots together, figured out who I was.
Wow. Some folks in our DMs are calling you an idiot. I don't know if you know what that is because you're a moron, but that is ridiculously amazing.
All right. Well, I'm not proud of it. I didn't mean to do it. But yes, I turned myself in accidentally.
Campbell, I'm a Campbell. I might be the Campbell you're looking for. No, not the soup. Steven. Yeah.
You're breaking up this party. I'm having a party. How crazy.
Right. This is insane. I think I saw you there last week as I was fleeing the scene. Hilarious.
I can be a little too friendly.
I think I've had actually another interaction with the police. Ray, my sister, who's in the comments, we were in the mall, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, but we were in the mall, and we were actually not doing anything really wrong. We were just being in the mall, and we were being 15, and we were idiots. So we're just walking in the mall, like whatever, shooting the shit with each other. And these cops got upset. They thought we were being too loud. And we were like, okay, and they're like, you need to get out of the mall. And we were like, okay. And then he goes, don't say another word. And we looked at each other and we go, word. And then they beat the shit out of us. Yeah. And then they beat us up, 2 male police officers. And when we went to court, the judge said that was a textbook arrest. Like they dropped all the charges and let us go. But yeah, they were like, no, he was definitely supposed to beat the shit out of 2 teenage girls. That's 100% how that was supposed to go down. I feel like, no, it was not. Isn't that horrific? Yeah.
I guess that kind of opens up the conversation that we're going to have with Avenues for
My sister
Justice.
said we hit them first. I don't remember that. Oh, no, you hit one of us. Yes, I remember that. You hit first. Not, we did. I don't think so. I don't remember that story that way. Anyway, moving on. Skip that story. Delete. Control, Alt, delete.
Wait a minute. Wait. That is a different story. It is a different story than the story that you told. But
Revisiting this history. Because I don't remember that. I remember us saying word. Okay, sorry, everyone. She's talking to me in the comments and she's looking at me like, bitch, we did. What I think the story is she did, and then I had her back. You knocked his glasses off. That actually sounds realistic. That sounds like it could have been accurate.
So now does that sound like more accurate? What actually happened?
No, I still don't remember that way. I remember fighting back, but I don't remember striking the first blow. That I don't remember.
Well, should we bring our guests on?
Yes, please, for the love of Christ. I don't understand why they haven't come on yet. Like, what are you doing?
Make it happen, Franqi.
Ladies and gentlemen, Avenue for justice.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Wes and Johnny, good to have you guys back. We really went up in the weeds talking about all the things that we were talking about. But we do appreciate you guys being here. We had you guys on episode 1, and we talked about a lot of the work that you guys were doing. Anybody that hasn't listened to episode 1, listen to it now. Spotify, Apple.
Really quick. I advertised you guys incorrectly, and I apologize because you're both so wonderful. So Weston that you see on the screen is Weston, not Johnny. And Johnny that you see on the screen is actually Johnny. They are not doing a funny name swap like I like to do with Steven. So they have their names correctly. I posted incorrectly, but I don't want to take it down because it's so cute.
It is cute. It was nice to be Johnny for a minute. I've always wanted to be.
Hello. Thank you, Wes.
And so for the guys that didn't listen to the last episode or to the first episode, quick version of what you guys do. Would you mind sharing real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Avenues for Justice, we're an alternative to incarceration program. We work with youth from the ages of 13 to 24. The majority of our participants have open legal matters. So we go to court with them. We advocate on their behalf. We try providing them with a second chance at freedom, at life. Sometimes those second chances turn into third, fourth chances. We never give up on our kids. And we're there every step of the way. We're on call 24/7. If any of our kids are struggling financially, we may go to like the grocery store with them and get them, $100 worth of groceries.
Oh, wow.
If a kid is not in school, we'll get them back into school. If a kid, let's say, has some sort of marijuana problem, we'll refer them to an outpatient program. If that doesn't work, we'll refer them to an inpatient residential program. In addition to all of that, we also have workshop activities for our kids. To name a few, we have job readiness. We have a creative writing class. A couple of months ago, we started a digital literacy course, to just prepare our kids, with like the basic knowledge of like using a computer, Microsoft Word, stuff like that. And we also started an OSHA 30 course for some of our kids who may be interested in the construction field, And in addition to that, we also have kids that are not involved in the criminal justice system that we work with. So we provide preventive services to them, which may consist of tutoring, having them participate in some of our workshop activities, and more or less, again, working with them, providing them the guidance and the counseling that more or less they may need.
How do those kids come on your radar?
Usually the preventive clients come to our program with a friend. So their friend may already be part of our program, and they'll ask one of the court advocates, hey, I have a friend. Can I bring them? Sure. And we always put the word out there, like, we have this workshop activity. Feel free to invite any of your friends, and sure enough, we do.
That makes a lot of sense. That's amazing. We talked about, I mentioned it to you guys earlier, but I'm actually working with Elsie Flores to get some of the young ladies that are involved in your program connected to Stand Up Girls to see if we can get them into stand up and kind of workshopping things through that to give them another outlet of expression, which I'm very excited to do with you guys. It's going to be really cool. Yeah.
And so one of the things that, we talked a little bit about the work that you guys do during the last episode. And one of the things I wanted to kind of chat about and, the environments that create a situation where a kid gets put into the system and maybe is stuck in the system. Franqi and I have just showcased how big of idiots we were at that age. Kids make tons and tons of mistakes. And I guess my question is kind of what sort of environments create you know, outside of the easy answer of racial privilege, where one kid can get stuck in the system and one kid can dip a toe in and not have any sort of ramifications for it?
I think what causes the kid to more or less become heavily involved within the criminal justice system has a lot to do with their structure at home. Whether or not they actually have, you know, like a family. You know, some of these kids, most of these kids don't have a father figure in their lives. They're being raised by hardworking moms, you know, who have a lot on their plate, you know. And when you don't have that, you know, and you don't have that structure at home, and again, there's nothing against, you know, hardworking moms who have a lot on their plate, have to go to work, may have other kids that they need to take care of. You know, some of these kids, they're gonna go hang out in the street, hang out with the, you know, with their friends, and look for that family structure that more or less they're missing at home. You know, because again, like for example, you may have a kid who, you know, is coming from like a broken home, and he's gonna go out, hang out in the streets, hang out, you know, like with his friends or whatever. And what do they have in common? The same thing. You know, none of these kids have that structure at home. They don't have, you know, that union, that family feel, you know, someone there advising them, letting them know like, hey, you know, go to school. We believe in you. Work hard. Do what you got to do. You know, and it's unfortunate, but some of these families get to the point where they give up on their kids, and it's a shame, you know. And I think that that's another key role that we play in their lives, because we never give up on our kids. You know, we let them know like, hey, you're gonna do this. You could do it. You know, we're always there advising them, letting them know like, we believe in you. You could be able to get that high school diploma, or you could be able to like accomplish anything you want, go to college, you know, have a good paying job. And again, it goes back to the family structure, because they don't have that at home, you know? And just like I said, you may have hardworking moms who try their best, but then you have other parents who really don't care, who have been there, done that, and that's what they know. They don't know how to make progress, how to be able to like succeed in life. Mm-hmm. And then it stems down to the kids.
And in addition to that, thank you, Johnny, for sharing all that. There's a component at the school too. So even if you have, for example, if you're in an area with a good public school, even if you're in a tough family, you're going to have people looking out for you at the school, teachers that are going to try to be your mentor, people that are going to identify you as someone who might have some problems in the home to lift you out of that situation. A lot of our kids are going to schools where they're not having that type of support at the school. So they leave the home with no structure. They come to the school. It's over policed at the school. They're going through metal detectors at the school. If they're angry, they're getting in fights with the school security. They're cutting class, whatever it might be. They're in oversized classrooms. So it's kind of just like whether they're at home, whether they're at school, there's no structure. And then, you know, sometimes the only time they feel like they have a community is in the street with their friends, because they don't have that community at school. They don't have that community in their home, especially if they're living in a housing project with, you know, a lot of families, a lot of, you know, different unique and tough situations stacked up on each other. The street is like the best outlet for them.
When you guys say that you don't give up on your kids, what does that mean? Do you have like a 3 strikes, or, you know what I mean? Like, how does that work? Is it just forever? Like we know you're going to get it at some point, and we'll be your safety net until you do. Like, how does that work? I'm curious.
So in terms of our program, there's no 3 strike rules. We're there every step of the way. So it'll be like a roller coaster ride. You know, our kids, they're not perfect. They're going to dig themselves in holes that we, as, you know, as an organization, as a family, are trying to dig them out of, you know. But I think the line is drawn once the judge says, I've had enough, or once the
Gotcha.
prosecutor is pushing to say, you know what, this young man has gotten so many chances. And I faced that, you know, in court with one of my kids, I want to say before the new year was over, you know, where the prosecutor went up to the judge, let the judge know, look, the record speaks for itself. This young man, he didn't go to therapy. He wasn't going to school. He didn't complete the inpatient residential program, you know. And again, this is a good kid, you know, but the family structure is a big component as to why this kid wasn't where he needed to be. Don't get me wrong, his parents are in the picture, but his parents work, you know, and they're not always there to let him know, like, hey, you got to get up. School's about to start, you know? I mean, we're talking about what, a 20-year-old young man who should be a little more responsible to know, I got to get up in the morning. I got to take care of my school, you know?
Right.
But I can't blame the family because this is, you know, a unique situation where, again, this young man has both the parents. They're trying to provide for their family, but because of that, you know, like they're not home and they can't be on, you know, like on top of this kid, making sure he's doing what he should be doing. And that's where my key role comes into play as being the court advocate on the case and working with this young man, where I'm on top of him and I'm like, I got an email from school. Was there a reason why you didn't get on for school? You know, because I mean, everything's taking place digitally now.
Right.
So, you know, I'm there every step of the way trying to make sure, like, hey, you got to take care of X, Y, and Z because that judge is not playing, the prosecutor's not playing. And sure enough, when we went to court, the prosecutor, you know, threw everything out there. And I'm like, Your Honor, this is a young man that ever since he's been with us, I mean, he's been trying. Nobody's perfect, you know. And the good thing is that since he started working with us, he didn't get rearrested. So that's a plus.
Okay, that's a big. So where can I ask where he is now? What's going on? I'm very invested in his story now.
He fortunately was able to get the youthful offender status, and what that is, it seals your record. You qualify for it when you commit a crime at the age of 18 or younger. And the way you obtain that is through a program like ours. You have to comply with the rules and regulations of our program, and then sentencing day, you'll get your youthful offender status. So he got the YO. In addition to that, he also got, I believe it was 3 years probation and 1 year condition to us. So what that means is for another year, I'm going to be in the picture, making sure I'm on top of him, making sure he's going to school, you know.
How's he doing?
I must say that since he's gotten on probation, he's doing better. I mean, it's not picture perfect better, but he's doing a lot better.
But he seems motivated to turn it around.
It's a roller coaster ride with him. You know, there's a lot of ups and downs.
I was a delinquent growing up, so I completely get it. It was, you know, but I had a lot of stuff happening in my house and around my house and around me. You know what I mean? So I was looking for someone to save my life and there wasn't anybody, you know what I mean? So I get it. You know what I mean? I completely get his situation. It's difficult to go from having nothing and no one to having someone, even though this person's telling you, you know, we believe in you, you can do it. Here are the tools to help you. It's still difficult. You still are internalizing everything that you've been through and you still see yourself as a piece of shit. You still see yourself as worthless, and overcoming that is difficult. That takes years. I'm personally a full-grown adult. I'm still not fully over that thought process. You know what I mean? So I still struggle getting certain tasks done, you know, because, you know, I'm drawn back into whatever past traumas I've had, you know what I mean? Even today. So if he's at least getting up and waking himself up, that's, in my opinion, an accomplishment. So good on for you guys to stay in his life and try to help him to turn it around.
I saw Teach for America was saying that over the last year, they've got like 30% of their students that are just unaccounted for because they're not logging into their Zoom classes and stuff like that. What sort of added challenges are you guys seeing now that everything is virtual?
I'm sorry.
Johnny, do you want to?
So yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that. So in regards to like everything taking place virtual, I feel like been a difficult task, to say the least. It's been difficult for everyone, especially for our kids. They everything transitioning over to like Zoom, and like just making sure that you're online, and taking care of like your schoolwork and all. It's been tough because these kids are not used to that. They're used to actually having to go to school and be present. Prior to COVID-19, I feel like, don't get me wrong, kids would struggle, but now you don't have that structure as you would if you were there personally, and when you don't have that structure, the vast majority of not only our kids, but just kids in general, they're going to struggle. If you don't have, like, let's say, that human element and contact, when you're present in school in person, you can always raise your hand, have a talk with the teacher after school or after class. You can't do that virtually. You have to email them and then wait till they email you back, and then on top of that, even with our program, prior to COVID-19, we have 2 community centers. The kids will come after school, participate in the workshop activities. Now, I mean, again, with the full schedule taking place with school online, we're doing things virtually. So we do it like after school, and some of these kids, like, it's a struggle to like get them on Zoom, because like they're so burnt out from this long day sitting in front of a computer.
On top of that, our community centers not only served as a place for programming and workshops, but they're a safe space for our kids to go in the afternoon hours from 4 to 7, which is when most crime happens for young kids, because it's when school gets out.
Sure.
So what ended up happening was, there's this young woman that we work with who lives in a house it's like a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 family members. It's very crowded. It's very stacked. And from 3:30 to 7 p.m., 5 days a week, she could come to our community center, be 1, safe, and 2, just have space to walk around, to talk to kids her age, and to be around mentors like Johnny, who are going to be there for her if she needs it. And she was talking about how much of a struggle it was, especially at the beginning, to just be in a crowded apartment and not have that safe space to go. And a lot of our kids start to, become friends and bond over the shared experience of going through the criminal justice system and working to get out of it, which, some kids just want to get in, get out, and just get their legal matter taken care of. Other people really buy into the program, or buy into the like camaraderie of the program. And so for those kids, it's definitely really tough. And so we're working really hard starting a couple weeks ago to try to provide that space again for our kids in a safe manner. 3 weeks ago, we piloted the first appointment only drop-in hours for our community centers, where everyone's wearing masks. We do a temperature check, fill out a COVID screening form. And while it's not perfect, it is at least a start to get these kids in the room to, see how they're doing, like look them in the eyes, see if they look like they're doing well, if they smell like weed. That's something that our executive director, Angel Rodriguez, always uses this line. He talks about just the human to human contact, like knowing, is the person bathing? Are they smoking? Like all these things that you can tell when you're around them, you can't tell when it's online, especially if the camera's off.
So true. What about the kids who were struggling with, getting online before? You know what I mean? I know that there's kids who don't have laptops. They don't have Wi-Fi. What are those kids? Do you guys have any clients like that? And what are you doing for those kids? Or is there anything to do?
Yes. So, we've been fortunate enough to actually be able to be very hands-on with our kids. When COVID first started, we made sure that those kids that didn't have laptops, we would be able to help them and provide them laptops, for their school, for their schoolwork, for the workshop activities that more or less, we implement. In addition to that, we also help them out across the board. So let's say, for example, if a kid, going back to like, the financial struggles. If they didn't have groceries at home, we would help them, get groceries. If a kid didn't have, a cell phone, because again, with COVID, there was a lot of people losing their jobs,
Mhm.
and let's say we had a kid that didn't have a phone, we will help him and get him a cell phone to make sure that they stay in communication, to make sure that they call for curfew,
Right.
So during COVID, again, times is tough. We're still not out of the woods yet, but we've been there every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love what you guys do. It's really amazing. I mean, it's so necessary. It's unbelievable how necessary it is. I grew up in the suburbs, you know what I mean? So I didn't grow up in the inner city, but I still had it rough, you know what I mean? So compound that with growing up in a city where it can be significantly more difficult. What you guys do is really amazing. I know kids who had everything. They had both parents at home. They had money. They had all of the things. And then they still chose to go down a path where they were committing crimes, doing drugs, getting in trouble, not going to school, all of those things. So I can't even imagine, what these kids what's happening to some of these kids in the city with, one or no parents at home.
Right.
Some kids are just kind of on their own. So, good on you guys. We love what you do. You guys are always welcome back and back and back and back and back here. Can you please tell the people watching, how can they contribute to Avenues for Justice? And can they volunteer? Like all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, so I'll start with contributing and where to follow us, and then Johnny can finish it off with volunteering. So if you go to avenuesforjustice.org, you can see how it's spelled on our backgrounds. You can click the donate button right there. Oh, nice, Franqi, that looks good. So avenuesforjustice.org, and then on Instagram, we're at Avenues for Justice, and then on Twitter, we're at Avenues, the number 4 Justice.
Gotcha.
So please follow us. We try to post every other day or so about different client successes and what we're up to. We've got a few Instagram lives coming. We're going to be chatting with some cool people in the community. So definitely give us a follow. Johnny, do you want to share volunteer opportunities?
Yes. So you could be able to reach out to me in regards to volunteer opportunities. My email address is jjara@avenues, justice.org. And then we could be able to set up a date and time for a volunteer assessment, and we could be able to discuss, some of the volunteer opportunities within our organization.
I love it. This is so wonderful.
I just threw all of that in the chat bar. So anybody that's listening,
Great.
Please.
Thanks, Stephen.
Of course. Also, one of the things I guess I didn't really take away last time, I took away like the relationship building that you do with these kids and the need for that to mitigate a lot of the getting into trouble. I didn't really appreciate the structure that you guys put into people's lives. And I'm like constantly trying to put structure around my own life to get my stuff together. And so again, just to piggyback on what Franqi has already said, we do really appreciate what you guys do. And
my sister actually said she's very humbled by what you guys do, and she's an egotistical bitch. So that's saying like a whole lot.
That's so much nicer than what she said.
There's 2 rays going on. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like that's so much nicer than anything she said about me. Which I'm sure she has the same things to say about me behind closed doors. But I appreciate you guys so much.
So much. We love Avenues for Justice. You're one of our faves. And no, we don't say that.
And shout out to Comedy Hub as well. And also everyone that's listening to the podcast, this is something that we've always forgot to do. Give all the 5 stars and give a good rating and all that jazz, because we're starting to pick up some steam on the podcast side itself. But
go to Spotify. We're on Spotify now. Nonprofits. Go to
Apple.
I have a blue check, so I don't know what the fuck Stephen's doing, but yeah, I'm definitely benefiting. I am 100% benefiting.
I'm just riding them coattails, baby. Let's do it.
That's all that matters. I'm a queer Black woman, and we must succeed at all costs. I feel like That's fair.
Right. I'm a straight white man that's just trying to find his way in the world. You know?
It's tough for you guys right now. I get it, Stephen. It's so tough. Avenues
All
for
right.
Justice, Weston, Johnny. I seriously cannot tell you guys how much I love and respect what you do. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but if I had you guys when I was a kid, I swear to God, things would be so much different. It's amazing. Never give up. Please keep doing the work. I'm excited to work with you guys. I think Ray's going to try to figure out how to volunteer and get her friends involved. So awesome. We will see you guys next Tuesday. I'm Stephen Campbell.
And I'm Franqi French.
And this is The Nonprofits. Ow. Ow. Okay.
Love you guys.